Hello and welcome. As the world sits on edge, on day 10 of the war in Ukraine, the story has hit home. One Indian student has been killed, another one has been shot at and is hospitalized. For hundreds of parents, the last 10 days have been a nightmare. They sent their children with hopes and dreams of a better future, to study and to attain a medical degree, only to now be wishing fervently for them to return home as soon as possible and in one piece. This should happen to no parent. The safety and security of around 8,000 Indian nationals, most of them students, is an issue of urgent concern for India now. Many of Ukraine's best universities, including the Kyiv National University, hosts a substantial portion of all the international students in the country. And these institutions are located in eastern Ukraine, where the most intense fighting has been seen and where the evacuation is now a logistical challenge for India. India is also by far the largest sender of international students to Ukraine. Close to maybe 20,000 Indians were studying there in 2019. And joining us now, we have in our studio, we have some students who have managed to come home along with their parents. We have Janvi Tiwari first joining us along with her father, Vinod Tiwari. Janvi, to you, when did you first realize that the threat was real? And now you're home, you're here with your family, but many of your fellow students aren't. When you sit back today and look at them still there, what are your thoughts?
Ma'am, firstly, I feel really grateful that I'm back, especially on time. And secondly, 21st in the morning, मुझे मेरी फ्रेंड जो खारकीव में रहती है उसका मुझे कॉल आया था एंड मुझे उसका कॉल आया था एंड शी वाज लाइक कि मेरे सामने बॉम्बार्डिंग चल रही है, मुझे लोग भागते हुए दिख रहे हैं, लेकिन मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा मैं क्या करूं. एंड एट दैट टाइम हमें समझ में आया कि ओके फाइन, ये रियली हो रहा है. बिकॉज हम बहुत टाइम से ये सुनते आ रहे थे, अराउंड मिड जनवरी से हम ये सुनते आ रहे थे कि हाँ वॉर होगा, और हम कहीं ना कहीं हम उस थॉट में चले गए थे कि कुछ होने नहीं वाला. बट उस टाइम हमें हिट किया, रियलिटी हिट की कि हाँ एक्चुअली अब कुछ हो रहा है. एंड देन मैम आफ्टरवर्ड्स हम बैंक में भागे. फिर बाद में हम लोग ऑब्वियसली वहाँ पे बहुत लंबी लाइन थी क्योंकि सब कैश निकालने आ रहे थे. एंड इवेंचुअली हर बैंक में कैश ख़त्म हो जा रहा था, तो हम 2-3 बैंक्स में हमने भागदौड़ी की. फिर हम ग्रॉसरी स्टोर भागे एंड फिर वहाँ से वापस आए. तो फिर बाद में हम
Who told you to do all of this? Did you speak to your parents? Did they advise you? Was this like your own practical, survival of the fittest?
Survival of the fittest right now.
You've already graduated in the school of life. You have street smarts. So, but how did you speak to your parents? Like, how did you get on that plane to get out? How come you got out first?
Because हम लोग एक्चुअली मैम हम मतलब उस टाइम इवानोव में कुछ एक्चुअली हुआ नहीं था. एयरपोर्ट पे ब्लास्ट कर दिया गया था, लेकिन इतना कोई हमें इतना कुछ थ्रेट था नहीं उस टाइम, बिकॉज हम वेस्टर्न साइड में थे. तो लेकिन एक हमारे बिकॉज हम ऑब्वियसली हमारी दोस्त का, खारकीव वाली दोस्त का हम सुन रहे थे कि वो मेट्रो में फंसी हुई है एंड उसने खाना पीना कुछ मिल नहीं रहा है. तो हमारे कहीं ना कहीं दिमाग में ये क्वेश्चन बार बार चल रहा था कि ठीक है अभी हम सेफ हैं, लेकिन कब तक हम लोग कब तक सेफ है, वो कहीं ना कहीं कांस्टेंट थॉट चल रहा था. तो हमने फिर डिसाइड किया, हम कुछ दोस्तों ने हम लोग मिलकर डिसाइड किया कि हम एक बस करते हैं और हम बॉर्डर के पास जाते हैं. हम ऐसे कि सिटी से ज़्यादा एटलीस्ट कुछ भी होगा, हमें वहाँ पे भी हमारे कुछ दोस्त ऐसे कि तुम बॉर्डर पे क्यों जा रहे हो, वहाँ पे कंडीशन सेफ नहीं होगा, वहाँ पे तुम्हें नहीं पता तुम कब तक फंसे रहोगे. बट हम ऐसे कि नहीं, हम बॉर्डर पे जाएंगे, कम से कम हम सिटी से ज़्यादा सेफ होंगे, क्योंकि हमें बार बार जेट्स की भी आवाज़ आ रही थी. तो रात भर हम लोग जेट्स की आवाज़ सुन रहे थे. तो टेक्निकली एक रात काटना कितना मुश्किल होता है वो उस रात हमें समझ में आ गया था, जब हम जेट्स की आवाज़ सुन रहे थे. हम डर के बैठे थे कि अब कुछ होगा और हमें शेल्टर में भागना पड़ जाएगा. तो इसलिए हमने फिर डिसाइड किया कि नहीं, हमें बॉर्डर के पास जाना है, हम वहाँ ज़्यादा सेफ रहेंगे.
विनोद तिवारी, a bittersweet moment for you. You are obviously relieved that your daughter's home, but you must be very proud of her for what she's achieved and how she had the presence of mind to figure all this out.
Yes.
And be back home.
Yes, definitely. We were after her life since 6th. 6 तारीख से हम लोग इसके पीछे पड़े हुए थे कि भाई तू आजा, हाँ, क्लास छोड़. वो बोल रही थी कि हम पिकनिक करने तो आए नहीं पापा, हम पढ़ने आए हैं कॉलेज, अगर ऑनलाइन नहीं होगी हम चले आए तो हमें रेस्ट्रिक्ट कर देगा। 100% अटेंडेंस का रेस्ट्रिक्शन है। कहीं ना कहीं अपनी जो एम्बेसी थी उसकी एडवाइजरी भी वो डोलड्रम 16 तारीख को पहली आई, तब तक भी देर हो चुकी थी। हम तो इसके 5 तारीख को हम टिकट कराने को पीछे पड़े हुए थे, भाई तू चला छोड़ दे, क्योंकि हम तो परेशान थे, डर हमें लग रहा था हर दिन की पता नहीं क्या हो जाए। फिर इनकी एडवाइजरी आई, अंत में हमने जब टिकट करा ली, सब कुछ हो गया, तो पता चला कि नेक्स्ट डे बम्बार्ड हो गया। सुबह मैंने न्यूज देखा, मैं इसको फोन किया, जगी हुई थी, नॉर्मली सुबह ये उठती नहीं है, यहाँ के टाइम गैप ये भी है, तो मैं बोला क्या हो गया। इसकी मम्मी बोली कि क्या हो गया, जानवी जगी हुई है। थोड़ी लोग बोल रही थी शर्मा को बुला लो, तो मुझे लगा कुछ ना कुछ हुआ है। हम लोग दोपहर के बाद हमें पता चला कि एक्चुअली उस दिन वहाँ पर बम्बार्ड हुई थी, वहाँ का एयरपोर्ट उड़ा दिया था। इसने मुझे नहीं बताया कि बम्बार्ड हुई है। अब हम लोग और टेंशन में आ गए, फिर क्या करें। इन लोगों ने पूरा रात जो है कहीं ना कहीं लाइट ऑफ करके गुजारा, हमें बताया नहीं। हम बार बार बोल रहे थे वीडियो पर आओ, तो ये बोल रही थी वीडियो पर नहीं आऊँगी, आप लोग रखो, कुछ नहीं, हम लोग सेफ हैं। ये लोग दूसरे इसमें आ गए थे। नेक्स्ट डे इसने 4 बजे मुझे, इन लोगों ने जब बस अरेंज कर लिया, मुझे फ़ोन किया। एज ए गार्जियन मेरे को लग रही थी कि बच्ची है, कैसे, हमको लगा कि टैक्सी वगैरह से जा रहे हैं लोग बॉर्डर। मैं बोला कि यार तुम रात में अब जा रही हो, रात में पहुंचोगी तो ये तो बड़ा रिस्की प्रोपोर्शन है। हम बोले इसमें 4 थ्रेट होते हैं, मिलिट्री का भी थ्रेट होता है, पुलिस भी थ्रेटफुल होता है, क्रिमिनल्स तो रोड पर होते ही होते हैं, छीन झपट सब होती है, तो तुम लोग कैसे इसको ये करोगे। फिर बाकी लड़कों से बात किया तो लड़कों ने बोला कि अंकल हम लोग 52 लोग हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, आप निश्चिंत रहें, हमारी बहन है, हम लोग सब साथ हैं। फिर मुझे लगा कि चलो कॉन्फिडेंस है। पूरी रात हम ट्रैक करते रहे, फोन करते रहे, इनका हमने लोकेशन मांगा, लोकेशन ट्रैक कर रहे थे। बट एक चीज अच्छी थी कि देखो कहीं ना कहीं, चूंकि अभी जो इंडिया की ये है, ग्रेजुअली इंडिया की औरा जो है इन दिस मोदी गवर्नमेंट, एक तो अच्छा चीज हुई है कि इंडिया की औरा वर्ल्ड में बहुत अभी अच्छी है। एंड ड्यू टू दैट दे वर गेटिंग ए रिस्पेक्ट इवन एट देयर, इवन ऑन बॉर्डर। So that was not easy, but India, because of India's external external affair ministry and external political situations, और the size of Modi, India जो है इन लोगों को निकलना काफी इजी रहा। ऐसे सिचुएशन में मैडम कहीं भी ये प्रॉब्लम तो होती है, हम समझ रहे थे, हमें मालूम है छोटे मोटे जब कहीं क्राइम होते हैं तब निकलना मुश्किल होता है, छोटे राइट्स हो जाते हैं तब निकलना मुश्किल होता है। आप देखो एग्जांपल है, हमारे यहाँ कश्मीर प्रॉब्लम, 400 लोग मारे गए, वो निकालना मुश्किल था। तो ये तो विदेश में थे, जहाँ की भाषा भी नहीं जानते हैं, जहाँ की कहीं ना कहीं ज्योग्राफी इन्हें नहीं पता है, कुछ भी पता नहीं है, फिर भी निकलना था। तो नेचुरली बहुत टफ था। It was not easy.
But interesting, because there were some reports of racial discrimination, harassment for Indians. But let me go across first to Dipanshu Gautam. Dipanshu, congratulations. You were studying there, a third-year student at the Ivano-Franswick National Medical University. You're also here with your father. As we heard here, it was very difficult. So, आप लोगों ने कैसे, like sir says, do you speak the language? Do you speak Ukrainian?
Yes, a little bit. I can speak a little bit.
Oh, that's great. In 3 years, very good, fantastic. But how did you network with people around you? How did you manage to get out? Like we talked about the logistics on the ground. Sir says you're in a foreign country. I don't know if you all had traveled, to get to the border from the main city.
I stay in the west. Ivano is in the west side. But I had flight on 24th. So on 23rd night, I went to Kyiv. That is the most dangerous place in Ukraine at that time. When I was about to reach Kyiv, before 50 kilometers, our train got stopped. And the train, TT master, that is TT, he told us that train will not go ahead. So we have a choice. We can go outside and walk.
Wow.
But I stayed inside in the train. After 4 to 5 hours, he took us to the Kyiv, the railway station. So ma'am, we went outside. We went outside the railway station and we got to know that there is a martial law in Ukraine right now. So in that situation, I was thinking to talk to my dad. So I called my dad. He told me to go to Indian Embassy because that was the safest place for us in that particular moment. And when I reached Indian Embassy, there was almost 150 students over there. So I felt little bit calm that all Indians are here. So I am, good here. So I stayed there for 2 days. But I see Indian Embassy is not doing anything. They are doing by their own, but I feel inside that I have to go from here by my own. On 26th of Feb, they told us, if you want to go, you can go by your own.
Wow.
So I talked to my dad. He told me to book a taxi. But at that time, nothing was available. So I went outside and I heard 2 bombs and I saw a missile above in the sky. I saw a missile. After that, after 2 to 3 hours, I saw a picture on Instagram. There was a skyscraper and it has a hole inside.
Wow.
So I got to know that missile hit that building. So ma'am, after that, I took a taxi, and at that time, we booked a taxi of almost 6 times expensive. The earlier taxi was 300 grivnas, but I booked a taxi of 1800 grivnas. So it is so expensive to travel only 5 kilometers.
Wow.
So I reached Kyiv railway station. There is, you can say that is totally racism. In train, they are not allowing us to go inside. I pushed my bag, my big luggage. That is the way I got to board inside the train. And I reached Ivano-Frankivsk in the 3 p.m. midnight, and I saw army there. They told me that at night there is a curfew. So they checked my passport, my luggages, everything. And they told me to go to inside of railway station. I stayed there for 6 hours on the cold feet.
Yeah.
So we stayed there. In the morning, I booked a taxi to my flat because I live in Ivano-Frankivsk. Then I booked a taxi to Romania border. I saw there almost 4,000 students were there, and that's how we survived that all time. And at Romania border, I can see Ukrainian people, they are not supporting us. They were saying that India didn't support us in United Nations meeting. Why we should support you? So that was the situation. They were dodging bullets in the air. Yeah. So there were 2 bullets that gone besides my head like this.
Oh gosh.
So I felt very bad over that time, and I just crossed that point, and after that I crossed Romania border. And after reaching Romania people are so good. They are so helpful. They provided us shelter, food, clothes, everything you can say. And they also gave me shoes. I have wear it now also, yeah.
Oh wow.
They gave me shoes. So I felt overwhelmed over there, and it was a very great feeling to reach Romania. That people, they are so nice, ma'am.
You've been through extremes
Yes,
of
ma'am.
your emotions, right?
Ma'am, I took a train from 23 and I reached India at 3rd of March. It took me 8 to 10 days to reach
8
India.
to 10 days to
Yes.
get home, and finally he's home.
Yes.
Gautam ji, your son, clearly जैसे कहते हैं ना, in that he made that lifeline. Who are you going to call on your lifeline? Obviously, आप उसके your dad is a person he calls in a time of need. What was it like for you being stuck here? 10 days it took for your child to come home. आपको कैसे, आप how did you get through this? आपने कैसे बताया?
एक्चुअली में मैम ये मुझे ना कंटिन्यू मेरे कांटेक्ट में था, तो इसकी ऑलरेडी मैंने 16 ऑफ फैब को फ्लाइट बुक करवा दी थी, जो इसने कीव से लेनी थी। 24th नाइट 11 की थी इसकी फ़्लाइट। ये कीव में पहुंचा था 24th मॉर्निंग में जी। तो फ्लाइट ऑलरेडी हैज़ बीन कैंसल्ड। इसने मुझे फ़ोन किया कि पापा मैं यहाँ कीव में हूँ और यहाँ पर जो है मार्शल लॉ लग चुका है, यहाँ कर्फ्यू है, हम लोग जो है कहीं भी नहीं आ जा पा रहे। मैंने तो उसको बोला कि यू गो टू बैक टू वन योर कॉलेज, आप अपने कॉलेज वापस चले जाइए, वहाँ के लिए ट्रेन ले लीजिए। तो इसने मुझे बोला कि ठीक है पापा, मैं ट्राई करता हूँ, अगर मुझे कॉलेज वापस जाने के लिए ट्रेन मिल जाती है तो कॉलेज वापस चला जाता हूँ। तो इसने मुझे फिर 10 मिनट बाद फ़ोन किया कि डैडी कम्प्लीटली जो है ट्रेन ट्रैफिक स्टॉप, यहाँ पर कोई टैक्सी नहीं है, कोई भी ट्रेन अवेलेबल नहीं है, सारा सब चीज़ें कम्प्लीटली बंद हो चुकी हैं। तो फिर मैंने इसको सजेस्ट किया, मैंने बेटा आप इंडियन यूक्रेन एम्बेसी जाइए, आपके लिए वही जगह सेफ है। तो ये कहने लगा कि पापा यहाँ टैक्सी भी अवेलेबल नहीं है। तो मैंने बेटा वो तो आपको मैनेज करना पड़ेगा, आप किसी से हेल्प लीजिए, किसी से बात कीजिए और आप टैक्सी अरेंज कीजिए और आप इंडियन एम्बेसी ही जाइए, इंडियन यूक्रेन एम्बेसी वही इस वक्त सेफ है। जब ये वहाँ पहुँचे, इन्होंने टैक्सी ले ली थी, तो टैक्सी 5 टाइम एक्स्ट्रा पे करके ये वहाँ पहुँचे। तो एम्बेसी में ऑलरेडी 100 to 150 स्टूडेंट थे वहाँ पर।
Clearly, like जैसे you hear history repeating itself. Now you saw the best and the worst of people. You saw the taxi driver who was gouging you, but you also saw the best of Ukrainians who
तो ये काफी पेनफुल थे। मैंने बच्चों को, इसको दीपांशु को बोला, मैंने यार वॉर शुरू हो चुकी थी, तो मैंने उसको बोला यू आर ए सोल्जर, आप घबराने की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है, यू आर ए यंगेस्ट, आप ये सारी चीज़ें सब अपने आंखों के सामने से देख रहे हो तो लेकिन एक बेयर भी कर सकते हो, आप स्ट्रांग बनो, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, ये कोई घबराने वाली बात नहीं है। आप उस वक्त हो वहाँ पर, सिचुएशन आपको ही हैंडल करना है। इसके साथ इसके 3 फ्रेंड भी थे जिसमें एक गर्ल भी थी, तो मैं रेगुलर इसके टच में था और उसको गाइड कर रहा था कि आपको क्या क्या करना है, कैसे करना है, ये मुझे कंटिन्यू टच में था। तो बस हमारे लिए थोड़ा सा पेनफुल ये रहा कि ये 2 दिन इंडियन एम्बेसी में रहे, तो बच्चों को रेगुलर ये बोला जा रहा था कि हम आपके लिए बसेस अरेंज करवाएंगे, बट 2 दिन के बाद कुछ एडवाइजरी जारी हुई कि बच्चों को कोई भी ट्रांसपोर्टेशन अवेलेबल नहीं करवाई गई। तो इसने मुझे बोला कि डैडी यहाँ की सिचुएशन बहुत ही ज़्यादा ख़राब होती जा रही है, काफ़ी पेनफुल है, वहाँ अटैकिंग भी शुरू हो गई थी।
So he took a gut reaction and turned out right.
तो मैंने
But Janvi and Dipanshu are the lucky ones. There are many students still back home, many parents who are very frightened tonight for their children. India's foreign ministry now says that it is strongly pressing the Russian and the Ukrainian governments through multiple challenges for an immediate ceasefire to create a safe corridor for its students who are stranded amidst this raging war in Ukraine. It claims that the ministry and the Indian embassy is in regular touch with the students, but the students actually in Sumy have been posting desperate and emotional pleas. They are saying evacuate us now from this conflict-stricken region. It's been 10 days, and today the Arindam Bagchi, the official spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs, told these students to stay there, stay inside shelters, avoid unnecessary risks, take safety precautions. That's the advice the government has given. But these students, this is advice that comes after students who were stranded in northeast Ukraine's Sumy shared videos where they are saying that enough is enough. Nobody, according to these students, nobody is helping them. They're not getting any information about when they're going to be rescued or any aid will reach them. And so they decided to take a risky journey to the Russian border themselves, 50 kilometers away. They're on their own. As we heard Dipanshu saying, in the end, you had to take a call. You said on your own, you didn't feel like you were going to be helped. Anyway, these students then claimed that this is going to be their last video from Sumy. Now, these students have decided that they're not going to take that journey, arduous journey on their own because they have been contacted by the embassy. But let's take a little bit a look at that video that went viral earlier today.
Indian embassy. If anything happened to us, we are students of Sumy State University. It's the 10th day of war. Today we got a news that Russia has announced ceasefire to open humanitarian corridor for 2 cities. One of them is Mariupol, which is 600 kilometers away from Sumy. Since morning, we are constantly listening to bombarding, shelling, street fights. We are afraid. We have awaited a lot and we cannot wait anymore. We are risking our life. We are moving towards border. If anything happens to us, all the responsibility will be for government and Indian embassy. If anything happened to us, to anyone, Mission Ganga will be a biggest failure.
This is the last video from the Sumy State University students, and we are just risking our life and we are just going to this border which Russia has opened. So this will be our last request and last video, guys. Just pray for us, and government, please let you guys know that we are just moving from our own risk. This is our last video.
मेरा नाम निडिल, मैं सुमी स्टेट मेडिकल यूनिवर्सिटी के एक छात्र हूँ। कल यहाँ एक एयर स्ट्राइक हुआ था, इसकी वजह से हमें बहुत देर तक बंगर में बस हुआ था। यहाँ बिजली और पानी भी ख़त्म हुई है, हमारे पास खाने पीने को भी कुछ नहीं है, यहाँ हीटर भी वर्किंग नहीं है, इसकी वजह से कोल्ड है यहाँ। मैं जैकेट पहनकर बैठी हुई यहाँ। हमें सिर्फ और सिर्फ अभी यूक्रेन गवर्नमेंट की क्लियरेंस चाहिए रशिया बॉर्डर तक पहुँचने के लिए। हमारी इवैक्यूएशन प्रोसेस थोड़ी जल्दी करिए, हमें ज़्यादा दिन तक एक हम रहना सेफ्टी नहीं है हमें के लिए। सो प्लीज़ डू समथिंग फॉर अस। मैं हाथ जोड़कर आप लोगों से विनती करती हूँ, हमारी इवैक्यूएशन प्रोसेस थोड़ा जल्दी करिए।
हेलो फ्रेंड्स, हम लोग सुमी यूनिवर्सिटी से बोल रहे हैं। हम लोग लाइट्स ऑफ करके अपना रूटीन डेली जैसे होता है लाइट्स ऑफ करके बैठकर हम लोग खाना वगैरह खा रहे थे। ऑल ऑफ अ सडन 15 मिनट्स पहले ज़ोर से आवाज़ आ रही है, 3-4 बार ज़ोर से आवाज़ें आई। विंडोज़ के थ्रू बाहर हमने देखा, लाइटिंग्स हो रही थी, पूरा आसमान में वाइट लाइट्स दिखने को मिल रही थी हमें। सारे स्टूडेंट्स डर के भागने लगे, रोने लगे। हम लोग शिवर कर रहे थे, चिल्ला रहे थे कहाँ जाए ऐसे करके, क्योंकि हम लोग रेडी नहीं थे तभी। हमेशा हमें सायरन बजता है तो हमें बोल दिया जाता है नीचे आ जाओ। इस बार ऐसे नहीं हुआ। इस बार ऑल ऑफ अ सडन
नहीं गया कि हमको बंकर्स में जाना है।
कितने लोग हाथ में शूज लेकर भागकर नीचे आए। इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जा चुकी है, हमें नहीं पता हमको कितनी देर तक यहाँ पे रहना पड़ेगा। हमसे 2-3 किलोमीटर दूरी पर ही ब्लास्ट किया गया है एक फैक्ट्री को।
तक चार्ज नहीं और हमको पता नहीं है हम कैसे कम्युनिकेट करेंगे हमारे पेरेंट्स के साथ।
बंकर में बैठकर अभी मैं स्टिल एम्बेसी को कॉल करने का ट्राई कर रही हूँ, बट स्टिल वो लोग कॉल नहीं उठा रहे। आज सुबह से मैंने 15 कॉल कर दिए, उन्होंने एक कॉल रिसीव नहीं किया है गाइज।
और हमको पता नहीं है हम कैसे अब रहेंगे और ये कितने दिन तक ऐसी सिचुएशन बनी रहेगी।
हम अभी भी शिवर कर रहे हैं। जो हमने देखा है वो हम नहीं चाहते कोई और देखे।
कितने बच्चे तो विंडोज में से देख के रोने लगे।
लिटरली ये सच है। प्लीज इससे ज्यादा और खराब दिन हमें नहीं देखने। प्लीज आप कुछ भी कीजिए, हमें यहाँ से निकालिए। कीव और खार्किव के स्टूडेंट्स के जैसे हम नहीं चाहते कि हमारा सिचुएशन आए। थैंक यू।
All right, let's go across to Saurav Kumar, who joins us here in studio. Saurav, you're a fifth-year student. You were almost at the end of finishing, getting your degree, and now you're back home. But you're the lucky ones who are here. When you see these videos coming out of Sumy right now, of those children still stuck there, those students, I should say.
Yeah, I'm still worried about these students as they got stuck in the bunkers and they don't have enough food and water supply. And as I know, there is a temperature below 0 degree and there is a freezing cold temperature, and I don't know how they survive. They have enough blankets, enough supplies. And as I know, when I was in border, one of my friend fell down due to the hypothermia. Then we arranged some blankets for him and arranged a fire for him to get some warm. And it's still a very painful situation. And as I standing there outside the border 15 hours to get my turn to get into the border, and it's very difficult to get into the border as the Ukrainians when we are going to the gates, they just allow 2 to 3 people. How is it possible if you are allowing open the gate in half an hour and you only allow 2 to 3 people to get in? So there are more than 2,000 to 3,000 students stuck there. So I think on this rate it will take months to get in.
So how did you decide, I'm guessing all of you traveled in groups, right? The security in numbers. How did you decide who are the 3 who will go then?
As I know, I remember on the 24th of morning, I woke up just by hearing a noise of the bombarding, and just then after that my friend shared me a video how that missile is struck our airport, and we all got scared for the first time in our life. And on the evening of the 24th, we know there is a siren and there is an advisory dash, switch off your lights.
Wow.
And we don't know how. We switch on our flashlights, making food for us on the flashlights. As you know, it's very hard to make food in that such conditions.
And I'm guessing the conditions obviously will get worse after 10 days. On the first day when Janvi tried to take out money from the banks, it would be easier. Today I'm sure you can't even go.
I also have my Ukrainian account, and they put restrictions on that you can't withdraw more than 200 grivnas. Even there is a huge queue, and I standing in that queue, and I heard from my friends and the Indians and even the Ukrainian people, they are trying to cash out more money. But they only cash out around 200 grivnas. And 200 grivnas on the today is around 500 rupees INR.
Certainly not going to get you a taxi out of town.
Yeah. Even if you go to the supermarket, you can only buy some bottles of the milk, and that's it.
And even that I've heard is not available in supermarkets anymore. Nothing's available.
Yeah, the Ukrainian people just grab all the milks, and I don't know why. If they need only one bottle, they took 10 bottles.
Probably human tendency, in
it's
such
the
a
same
situation.
as in the corona. It's the same. People start to getting stuck.
Meanwhile, the government says, look, today they say 3 buses have reached Pesochit. I think that's how you pronounce it. The Indian embassy in Ukraine has organized 3 buses. They have reached Pesochit. They will be shortly be making their way westwards. We have some visuals of Indians on these buses. We can play them out. Most of them students. The government says 2 more buses will be arriving soon. This is what the government has tweeted. And they've signed off, the government signs off with safe travels to our students, stay strong. I don't know how you all feel about that. Meanwhile, the External Affairs Ministry has now said that at least 20,000 Indians have left Ukraine since the first advisory was issued. They say in the last 24 hours, 18 flights have landed in India with around 4,000 Indians on board. The total number of flights have been 48, carrying over 10,000 Indians. 16 flights are still scheduled for the next 24 hours, including the Indian Air Force's C-17 aircraft and 1 special flight carrying Indian passengers who were stranded in Ukraine arrived at the airport this afternoon, and my colleague Akshay Dongre spoke with some of the students on that flight.
The National Medical Commission today has said that the students who were in their final year, who have completed 5-year course and who were doing the internship, they can continue with the internship from where you have left. Yes. You have to clear the FMG examination, and if you clear that, then you can actually practice here, you can do internship here. So how helpful is it for you guys?
If the government is actually able to do that, it will be very big help. Because if they don't do it, we have no other options. Our future is in, like, we don't know what's gonna happen, and if they do it, it's going to be a massive help, not only for us, for our juniors and the juniors below us.
The Indian Medical Association has in fact written to the Prime Minister stating that all the students should be absorbed into Indian medical colleges. I mean, in the year you were studying there. So do you think that is a way out of the crisis that you students are in?
Yeah, obviously I think so. It will be a big help for all the students. Like, if they can continue their education from here and finish the course, then I think it will be a big help.
The only other option we may have is like continue studies in another country, another European country or somewhere.
That allows you to.
Yeah, that allows us to continue our studies. But as for us, it's our final year. Only 3-4 months are left. So if we take that option, we'll have to repeat another year. That is an option, but as of the condition right now, we wouldn't want to go back to any other country.
Camera person Mohammed Mursali, Akshay Dongre, NDTV.
जो गवर्नमेंट ने अरेंजमेंट कर रखी है वो वेस्ट साइड के लिए काफ़ी अच्छी है, पर वहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती है, तो हमें वेस्ट साइड किसी भी हालत में पहुँचना था, तो हमने वही ट्रेन ली और हम वेस्ट साइड पहुँचे और फिर सारी चीज़ें हम इवैक्यूएट हो पाए. मतलब बाकी वही था कि जो इससे वेस्ट वाला सफ़र था वो हमें खुद करना था, क्योंकि अभी वो सिचुएशन है नहीं कि वो अंदर आके इतने सारे बच्चों को निकाल पाए, तो हमने मतलब रिस्क पे ही ये सब चीज़ें की है. सिचुएशन काफ़ी हॉरिबल है. यही रहेगा कि ये वॉर जल्दी ख़त्म हो जाए, क्योंकि इससे तो उनका तो नुकसान हो ही रहा है, बट हम जैसे स्टूडेंट्स का भी नुकसान हो रहा है. हाँ, मेरे काफ़ी दोस्त है, मतलब अभी भी फंसे हुए हैं, तो सिचुएशन हॉरिबल ही होती जा रही है. क्योंकि हम थे तो हमने थोड़ा जल्दी डिसीजन ले लिया, ऐसा मुझे लगता है, वरना आज मैं भी वहीं पे होता.
हाँ, यूक्रेन गवर्नमेंट ने हमें खाने के मामले में बहुत सपोर्ट किया, क्योंकि सुपरमार्केट सब बंद थे, तो हमें ब्रेड्स, वाटर, मिल्क सब सप्लाई किया था बंकर्स में. हमें हंगरी में मिला था रहने के लिए, तो होटल्स मिला था हंगरी में, एंड देन ट्रांसपोर्टेशन फ्रॉम रेलवे स्टेशन टू द होटल्स सब प्रोवाइड किया था इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ने. So it was sleepless nights and very struggleful days, but we managed to escape, and we were lucky to have the support of Indian government. I'm very thankful of Indian government. The nights in bunker were terrible. We can hear the shellings, we can hear the firings, everything. It was like we used to get goosebumps when we used to hear the like bombs and everything. The first night was totally terrible. We never imagined that we will hear the shelling sounds.
हमारे रिस्क पर ही गए हम बॉर्डर तक, लेकिन इंडिया का फ्लैग लगाने की वजह से हमें रिस्पेक्टेड नरेंद्र मोदी जी की वजह से कोई परेशानी तो हुई नहीं अभी तक.
All right, so what now? Is it a bitter pill again? These students went to learn to be doctors and nurses and medical practitioners, and now they have to swallow a bitter pill. These Ukrainian returned students now have to face the Indian reality. Every medical student who has finally reached home, finally reached India from war-torn Ukraine, has reason to be relieved. But their anxieties are not over. One big question is, what happens now? How are they going to continue their uninterrupted or their interrupted education right now, especially if this Ukraine crisis doesn't ease up in the near term? There are demands now on the government to intervene in this sphere, but some solutions are easier to deliver than others. Let's go across to Dr. Azmat Karim. He's a MD physician who studied in Russia. He's an MD of pulmonary medicine, a consultant at Fortis Escorts Hospital in New Delhi. Dr. Karim, what happens now? You're somebody who has studied abroad like these students. What now for these students whose education has been interrupted midway?
Very tough. I remember when I was in the journey of Soviet Union coming back to CIS countries, those days the condition was pathetic. When I reached there, it was very difficult to manage foods in those crises. So the crisis is similar but this is a war situation. So, but those days, there was the social media where I can call my parents or talk on telephone. There was the only communication through the Ministry of External Affairs or embassy. But those days also, the Indians have very valuable conditions in those countries because India and Russia both have the good relationship in the past 70 years. So whenever comparing with the other countries, there was 106 countries as students in my university. The People's Friendship University was one of the top university in Moscow. It is listed number 5 in the WHO ranking. So knowing that, I am from India, I was safe always in all conditions, everywhere, wherever I was moving, with money or without money.
Yeah.
So but still, the climate was so bad. And the language, when we reached there, I was comfortable only in one language, and the Russian I was learning. But in last 20 years, I have seen the development that the people started speaking in English, and also the study is converted into the English language.
Sure. But Doctor, I'm trying to understand what happens to these students. Because
so coming back, those days, if I was supposed to come, it was very difficult because I was studying in Russian and come back to the Indian English language of the medical. But now since the NMC has the overall guidelines for the Indian standards or Indian education systems or the students going abroad, they have a database because they don't go without clearing NEET examinations.
Correct.
So they have all database of the Indian students who are studying abroad. So, and they have a curriculum at par. So I don't think India is such a large country having so much of medical schools and large corporate hospitals, especially for the students who are in 4th year, 5th year, they have to go into a practical training. So if they have a good, they have to organize into the all corporate, all big hospitals for their training into for 5th and 4th year students. But the paramedical students, yes, they will have because they have to go through the anatomy, physiology, which are the not a clinical, paraclinical, so they need to go into the practical. They have little challenges, but those students' numbers, that can be also accommodated.
Right. So doctor here says you can accommodate all returnees in Indian colleges, though many are saying that's going to be easier said than done. If that was possible, why would these students all be going to study abroad? If you could have studied in India, why would you have gone abroad? But let's go across and ask Akshay Dongre that question. Akshay joins us. He's at the airport. Akshay, you have with you students. I was asking our students here in studio whether they are worried about what happens to their education. Their parents have put down a lot of money, I'm guessing. It's 5 years. It's not a short program. Living, situation, rent, stipends, etc., food, all of that has been paid for the past few years. What happens now? What are you hearing from the students you're with?
Well, Sarah, we are here at the IJ airport and we have a lot of students here with us, all of them medical students from Kyiv National Medical University. All of these students have left their studies amid the conflict, and we'll try and speak to them, try to understand what exactly is their biggest concern. So you all are medical students, right? You must have put in a lot of years as far as the studies are concerned. Now, because of the conflict, you have to come back to India. Are you concerned about your career? I mean, how much of that is the concern?
Indian government told that we have got internship in India, but we don't sure that. But it is a 50-50 chance that. But how many students got the chance? How many students left there? I don't know, bro.
So is there, how much of a concern is your academics right now?
Actually, now nothing is sure without further any information. So it's all in the hands of Indian government, and we hope for good.
the Indian Medical Association has urged the government to absorb all of you guys in the Indian medical infrastructure. I mean, so that you can study here in India. Do you think that that will resolve the issue? Would you prefer that if you can get to study
of course.
here?
It's good news for us, actually. We all prefer that.
You would prefer that?
Yeah.
I mean, instead of going out and studying somewhere out, would you prefer here studying in India?
Yeah, if I could continue my education, I'll do that for sure. Because we have already completed our 3 years. So we are in an uncertain situation. We don't know what to do next. Because we don't have any documents proving that we have completed our 3 years. It's all in the university. We just have our credit books, that's all. So we don't know.
And we also have some final year students here with us. We'll try and speak to them as well. You guys, we have spoken with you earlier too. How much of that is a concern you are seeing as far as completing your courses are concerned? Because you have put in almost more than 5 years now in academics. Now you have to come back to India in this uncertain time. How much of that is a concern?
It's entirely, we have given whatever precious time what we had, like up to 6 years. Currently we are 6th year final students. So almost 5.5 years we've been spending for a certain course. Now we came to India without any kind of documents or any certificates. Exactly. So right now we are equivalent like we just finished our 12th standard, and all of the certificates and documents, it's with the university. So even as we spoke earlier, the circular provided by the government, according to that, if we are able to join and if we are able to do the internship over here, indeed we need the certificate till our 5th year.
So that is also a concern. They need the certificates too. That is with the university. The universities are shut. The classes are shut as well. So how much the Indian government will be willing to accommodate all of these students and how much the universities here will be trying to accommodate these students remains to be seen. But the decision right now is in the court of the Indian government as far as the accommodation of these medical students are concerned. Sarah?
All right, let's go across. Thanks, Akshay. Let's go across to Dr. J.A. Jayalal, former president of the IMA. Dr. Jayalal, everybody is saying you can accommodate these students. Is that true? Because there's not just the affordability of a Ukrainian education, but there is, a demand-supply situation here in the country. These students went to study also. We're told some 16 lakh students take the NEET, 8 lakh qualify. There are only 90,000 odd seats. Are there spare seats in our universities right now to accommodate all of these students who have returned?
No, now it is on a empathetic ground that we need to accommodate these students in our medical college. If you are really looking into that, and we have nearly 600 medical colleges, and if we are going to get these students from different years of students, we need to increase the seats for the 10% of the seats in each medical college, which is practically a possible solution for that. But the only problem which comes, as the many students are saying, they do not have any data on how many years they have completed, and how do we trust on that? And we definitely, when they are going to be get admitted into the medical colleges in India, definitely they need to give some certification from the concerned university or some credit that what they have finished, or at least that we need to divide into the pre-clinical or on that it is to be admitted. But looking into the logistic and looking into the, definitely, if such a India with a vast 600 medical colleges, definitely it is possible for us to do that, but it shall be done only as a one-time measures, because that is, we will not be able to compromise on the education quality, but we will take all our steps necessary to see to that, and they are getting acclimatized to the Indian situation and they are studying it well. I fully agree that it is possible for us to do.
Okay, so all our doctors here are saying it is possible. Srijan Pal Singh is the founder of the Kalam Center, author, advisor to had been to Dr. Kalam, joining us at IIM in Ahmedabad, the gold medalist there. But our doctors here saying, Dr. Jayalal saying here, we can, if every university accommodates 10% of the students, take 10% extra, it is possible to accommodate all of these students. But do we have the facilities, the teachers, the professors, the labs to take in an extra 10% this year? Because yes, for the sake of students, for India's overall health, we need to expand our medical education. But can you do it at this breakneck pace? What about quality education? We need quality faculty, hospital linkages, high-grade resources.
Absolutely. I think it's, as you said rightly, easier said than done. The truth is that we are already overstretched in terms of all our education infrastructure, which is actually the fundamental question here. Why do students, brilliant students, and these are all the most brilliant minds out there in your studio, students like Janvi and so many others at the airport and those who are in Ukraine. These are some of our brightest minds. Why do we have to send them to Ukraine to complete their education? That's the most fundamental question. And that requires investment in ensuring that we have the right wherewithal, the infrastructure, the laboratories, and the professors to teach these students. One thing I must tell you, Sarah, is that you go to any government hospital and in an emergency ward, it is usually the students, the medical students who are manning those positions. We saw our medical students, the resident doctors, who helped us through the COVID crisis. Why don't we create more infrastructure? And India anyways has a lack of infrastructure, especially rural and remote India. We need to have concentrated effort in building that infrastructure so that this kind of crisis today happens in Ukraine, someday will happen somewhere else. We have the infrastructure to support these students. These are the best of our minds. Now, coming to the point of what to do with the immediate crisis. These students have completed 3, 4, 5 years into an education system, a credible education system. And we must not lose them. We must not let their careers go into ruins. We must also ensure that they do not end up being stigmatized for the rest of their lives because of this crisis which they have gone through. This can also happen. For this, we need to be more innovative than just asking hospitals to accommodate 10% or something. We need a mission mode. Today, we have so many rural areas in India which are lacking health infrastructure.
Absolutely.
Why don't we use all these doctors who just returned from Ukraine, send them to these rural areas and ask them to work on that health augmentation at the PHC level, at the smaller levels. We have to do something more innovative than just trying to expand an already overstretched health infrastructure which we have.
But of course, it leads us to the question, as you mentioned over here, why do these students go abroad in the first place? Well, the obvious answer is that the education there is cheaper than an education here because there are many private institutes. Am I correct? Private institutes where you have to pay through your pockets if you can't get through one of the government universities. Take a look at this report.
I couldn't manage to get a merit seat, so I had to get a seat in the management quota. My management fees was 1 crore 10 lakhs, and we had to pay extra amounts like the miscellaneous fee, the hostel fees, the mess fees, everything. It wasn't really easy for us because my father is an agriculturist and my mother is a homemaker. And my
Ramya says she took an education loan to realize her dream of becoming a doctor. Her parents could not afford the cost. This is the story of many students from middle-class families who have chosen to stay back in the state and shell crores of rupees for a medical seat. Dr. Shalini Chandrasekhar, Vice President of MS Ramaya Medical College in Bengaluru, says the cost of a medical seat under the management quota is justified.
Medical education as such is expensive because of the logistics, because of the equipment, because of the training that has to be provided by experts. So a lot of costs go into providing material for the student.
Thousands of medical students who have returned from Ukraine say they chose Ukraine over Karnataka as it is much cheaper.
ಒಂದು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ನೀಟ್ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಿತ್ತು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಸೀಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು 1 ಕೋಟಿ 1.5 ಕೋಟಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಬೇಕಿತ್ತು. ನಮಗೆ ಆ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಯುಕ್ರೇನಲ್ಲಿ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ, ಮತ್ತು ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು 30 ಲಕ್ಷ 25 ಲಕ್ಷ ಆ ಥರದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಗಿದಿತ್ತು.
263 students have returned to Karnataka from Ukraine in the last 1 week. What happens to their pursuit of a medical degree is now a big question.
If all of them come back to India, we don't have regulations about what to do with such students because this is something that has been happening for the first time. And therefore, I think it is the Government of India and the National Medical Commission have to take some decisions regarding how to help these students complete their medical education.
In Tamil Nadu, more than 2,000 medical students are expected to return home. The state government is consulting the centre on accommodating them in medical colleges here. As of now, all medical admissions both to government and private medical colleges happen on the basis of NEET ranking through counselling process.
இல்லை இப்போ அது கவர்மெண்ட் முடிவு பண்ணுவோம் சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட் தான் முடிவு பண்ணோம் அது பேசின்னு இருக்கோம் என்ன பண்ணணுங்கிறது.
According to the National Testing Agency, in 2021, nearly 16 lakh 14,777 students had registered to appear for the NEET exam. Of these students, around 8,70,075 students cleared. This is half of those who had registered. But the irony is the number of MBBS seats in India is very limited. This means that only 10% of students get seats, whereas the rest of the 90% students who clear NEET won't have the opportunity to get into medical colleges. The competition is so tough that the eligible population outnumber the minuscule number of seats that are available in India. While there is some respite with the National Medical Council announcing today what Ukraine returned final year medical students can complete their internships in India, what about the rest of the students? In Bengaluru with Sam Daniel, Shrija for NDTV.
On that note, let's quickly take a short break. We have more coming up on We the Students after that. Welcome back on We the Students. The big question at this hour, what happens to those students who have returned from Ukraine halfway through their medical education? Dr. Rohan Krishnan, President of FIMA Doctors Association, joins us. PKD Nambiar also joining us. Dr. Krishnan, first to you, is it in a sense, I'm not sure how to phrase this, the silver lining possibly is that we have for the past 2 years, because of the pandemic, been studying online. So the fact that these students are back home perhaps won't be hit that badly?
Actually, I'm not in the favor of these students coming back and joining to the medical colleges, because you see, if someone who is graduating in India and who has pursued medical education in India, the sole most criteria is merit, merit and merit. Right now, you showed 16 lakh appeared, 8 lakhs got qualified, and there are around 80,000 seats and a very few seats in government colleges. So why these dear students had to go from India on the first part? It was because of the a lesser number of seats in the government medical colleges, point one. Point two, higher medical fees. And point three, that there is an international nexus going on of the career counselors who tells these students, who traps these students and tells them that they're going to have an equivalent education abroad, and they can come back and give and qualify the foreign medical graduate entrance examination, and they will be treated as same as Indian graduate. But in reality, when you see from past 5 to 10 years, the FMG entrance test passing rate has been below 13%. So it means that there is a lot of problem in the curriculum which is being taught to them. There are a lot of problem in the teaching facilities and the availability of equipments and everything. So I think that the government of India, which the move is there, that those who have completed the internship, those who will qualify for the foreign medical graduate entrance examination, they can join as an intern. It is very good. And they should be paid stipend, which was earlier not done. It is very good. These steps are commendable. But on the other hand, when you are talking about medical facility in India, it is a tooth and nail competition. Suppose if I've got a seat in AIMS, my rank was top 50, and now if someone from a foreign medical graduate comes here and starts studying here, so obviously there will be a feeling of being cheated for the student. So you see, war is very tragic, but tragedy cannot be converted into an opportunity. First of all. Secondly, we are way past. We are not reached that moment yet that we have to decide. You see, National Medical Commission says that you can complete your MBBS course in 10 years. Now, suppose if I am a final year graduate and I have completed everything, now I have to just deal with the internship. That is fine, because you are qualifying for the foreign medical graduate examination and you have done all the curriculum which has been to be taught there. But if you see that for a first year or a second year student, it is very difficult to accommodate them here. You can make tall promises that yes, we can accommodate them. But these are on ground reality. I don't think that it is possible
Okay,
to
so
accommodate them.
there are two different views, diametrically opposite views. PKD Nambiar, this is not going to be easy for the government, but a quick response from you. How is the government going to handle this?
Well, Sarah, firstly, I wanted to compliment you and NDTV on the all the rest of the channels across Indian media is talking about what are the equipments and the used in the war. Here you are talking about the students and how their career and as well as the rest of the studies can complete. So my compliments to you tonight. But one thing I wanted to tell you in the entire show today, the defining moment of this show is that Rohan, whatever he said. You cannot compare with, you can't just use this as an opportunity for the people who have just coming back, but in the meantime, the government needs to be very strongly help every student of us. That how can we accommodate them, give them an opportunity, especially those people who have studied 5 years or 6 years, just in the finishing last stage of their studies. They should be given opportunity. But in the meantime, it is also important. I have some of the people who have studied from these countries in my family. The quality of many of these institutions across, especially the former Soviet Union countries, are not at par with our country. There is no doubt about it. You also need to understand there is a large amount of students from US to UK is coming to India these days. Even in the state like Karnataka or in Kerala, in Tamil Nadu, you will be able to, Kasturba Medical College and all are attracting students even from the US. So here there is a large number of exodus kind of people are going across all these countries just to save the money and of course to have an aspiration to have a medical degree, appreciable. But then
well, I think many different opinions on this. I want to quickly go across to Divyanshu Gehlo, who is the president of the Indian community at the Ivano-Frankivsk University. 30 seconds, Divyanshu, to you. Are you students a casualty of the war? Because diverging views, some doctors saying we're not sure if you can be accommodated back here in the Indian system.
Sir, ma'am, I am in 6th course right now and only 46 days duty left for me.
Wow.
So if they are saying that we can't be accommodated here, then please give us the solution. We don't know that war is coming on us. They are saying that we are using this as an opportunity. How you can say that we are using it as an opportunity? This is not an opportunity. Okay, and first of all, in India, we don't have enough seats. That's why we are going out. If someone is getting 600 marks, I have friends, those are getting 580 marks.
All right,
and
all right.
The students, those are getting 300 marks, 350 marks.
This crisis a tragedy on so many levels.
Admissions.
We wish you all the best, Devanshu Gehlo. Just about 45 days left for him to complete his course. What is going to happen to him and the thousands of other students who have first trying to get out of Ukraine and now that they're home, thinking about what's going to happen to them next. We'll continue to speak for them. We'll continue to raise their stories, bring you their stories on NDTV. Thank you for joining us tonight. Bye-bye.